Hello, this is Miss Esmendi, and I'm going to talk to you about what valence electrons are today. So remember when we're talking about atoms, that we talked about that there were different kind of layers that the electrons could go in. Now these different levels are called shells or orbitals. Okay, so each one of these, like for example, this one is showing 3 different shells. Each row in the periodic table is called a period. That's what we call it that. And so the elements in each period have the same number of shells. So here's a periodic table right here, but with all the writing taken out. So here's the first period, these red ones. And then the orange ones here going across this row is the second period, the third period. So in each period or row, those elements have the same number of shells. Okay, so the third period has 3 shells. The second period has 2 shells. The first period only has 1 shell. Okay, so for example, looking down here at lithium, lithium has 2 shells, so it's in the second period. Okay, now each shell can only hold a certain number of electrons. So the first shell, the innermost one, the one closest to the nucleus right here, this guy, holds up to 2 electrons. It could have 1, it could have 0, it could have 2, but it can only hold 2 and then it's full. Now the outer shells hold up to 8 electrons. So, and all the other shells outside of that we're going to talk about have 8 electrons. There are more kinds of shells, but we're not talking about those. Now, when one shell is full, then the next one fills. So here, this is like how these elements would be in the periodic table. So this one, hydrogen, it only has 1 electron. Going over to helium, it has 2, but then that shell is full. So then lithium has 3 electrons here, so the next one has to go in the outermost shell. And then, you can go over, and however many they have, they only fill up this one. So like this one, this outer shell here with neon is full up to 8. Okay? Now, valence electrons are the electrons in the outermost shell only. So no matter how many shells there are, the ones on the outside, the outermost shell, are called valence electrons. And they're important because they are the ones that react, the electrons that do anything. The other ones just kind of hang out down there. So the valence electrons in the outside shell, and those are highlighted here, they control how an atom reacts. So hydrogen acts how it acts because it has 1 valence electron. Lithium acts how it acts because it also has 1 valence electron, 1 on the outside, which is the same as hydrogen. This is why these guys in this column in the periodic table, they all have 1 valence electron, so they all act the same. These ones over here, helium, it has a full valence electron. That's the only one that's sort of like a mystery. So it kind of, because it only fills up that shell, that acts like it's at 8 shells. Okay, so these ones have 8, these ones have 8, so they are all full up. In the periodic table, again, here's another periodic table without the regular writing in it, but it's showing how many valence electrons are in each group. Remember, the groups are the columns that go up and down in the periodic table. So everything in group 1 has 1 valence electron. That's why they react the same way. Everything in these guys here has 2 valence electrons. All of them have 3, have 4, 5. You get the pattern, right? Remember, the only one that's different is because this one only has one shell, and that littlest shell only has space for 2. So it still acts like these ones that have the full shells. Okay? That's valence electrons, and that's it for now. Bye-bye.